My name is Gavin Dawson. I'm a senior history major here, about to graduate, hopefully, if everything goes right. I think a lot of us can probably relate. So the project that I actually did was for a Lincoln in Our Time symposium that was held last month, actually, over at the Skelton Conference Center. And we actually had a class where it was devoted to the study of Abraham Lincoln's life and his presidency, and ultimately his assassination and how it affected the American politics of the time and how it's kind of rolled over into the 19th and 20th centuries, or 20th and 21st centuries. And I don't know if any of you guys actually witnessed it, but if you had a chance to go down to the circulation desk in the library, we had an exhibit set up across from that for about a month and a half. So you might be able to remember passing by that or something. So the idea behind the class was for a project that would go down to special collections, and we had several opportunities to go down there and look through some of the items, manuscripts, artifacts that we have available to us here as students. And each student chose an artifact or a manuscript or a document that related to their interest with Lincoln or his presidency or assassination. And I chose the Benjamin Peck Diaries. He was actually a captain in the 141st Pennsylvania Infantry Regiment. And I thought it was interesting because I have a very strong fascination with the Civil War itself and with the soldiers' perspectives. And I thought it would be kind of a different take. We always hear about Lincoln as a president, and we always hear about it from like a political standpoint, his assassination. All the newspapers recorded what was provided to them by the cabinet members and others in the political party. But I thought it would be a different take on the entire scenario to have it from a soldier's point of view. So upon seeing these down there, I actually went through it, and the video is going to show several key dates that relate to the end of the war and Lincoln's death. I thought it was kind of a neat juxtaposition with the joy and the excitement that was felt by the Union soldiers and the officers that, hey, we just won the war, and then within 3 days, oh my gosh, our president was just assassinated. So kind of like a mixed feeling kind of going on. So the reason that, like I said, we wanted to do this was there's not enough digital history. It's kind of a new side of history. We've kind of come to realize that the public doesn't respond very well to here. There's an article that's really interesting, you should totally read it. And while there are some of us that are crazy enough to undertake it as a major, not everybody is interested in reading the books and reading the passages. So we've come to realize that public history is a new way to approach the public, to incorporate digital projects into it, to increase the opportunity to expose the public to it, and increase the information that we're actually able to share. So that was the entire idea behind the class in this particular project. And I tried to make it as realistic as possible. There's a lot of ambient sound and background noise to kind of reconstruct campfires or camp music, camp life, because this is supposed to be Benjamin actually writing this diary himself. At least that's what we were going for. And it was kind of a struggle a little bit. I actually had several friends kind of audition for the part of being Benjamin Peck. This is actually my second video project that I've done for a history class. And the first one I actually kind of changed the direction I wanted to go with grad school. I actually am now going to go to grad school for a digital history aspect and the public history focus for the history masters here. And after starting that first project, I realized that I didn't have any help. So the first one was really monotone, it's all my voice, and it's kind of sketchy, to say the least. So the second one, actually, I feel a lot better about. I don't know if it's quite comparing to some of the portfolios we saw earlier, but it's still pretty neat because there's different voices, different sounds. There are a lot of extra things that we added into this project, so I'm pretty excited about it.
So how was your technology learning curve? Is this?
Actually, I did all this on iMovie,
okay.
And we actually, again, for the first project, it was for my historical methods class with Dr. Mullen, and we went down to the innovation space, and they kind of walked us through how to use iMovie how to use the tools and you know, some of the camcorders, some of the videos, sound systems here through Tech's innovation space, to kind of put together a project. Like I said, the first project, we kind of got thrown into it. None of us have ever thought of doing it before. And the teacher kind of just said, okay, you're going to go paper, but you're also going to do this video project, and we're kind of due it at the end of the year. And so none of us really had any experience with it. I have to say that having not done a video project for about 2 years now, I kind of lost some of the information that I had used for the first project. So it was definitely a little bit of a struggle to get this one off the ground. But as I got into it, things started coming back to me.
That's interesting. Your own expectations raised, like now we're going to do tracks and
Yeah.
have different
So-
actors and things like that. Too.
And
That's great.
the one of the issues that I did run into is I requested a DSL camera to like take pictures of the actual document itself, because being in special collections, the only time that it was actually allowed out was during the exhibit, and it was under glass and, you know, like under watchful protection. So I wanted to take pictures of the actual pages to use in the video. So a lot of the still shots, you can kind of tell there's some panning that goes on, but if it's like a small passage that's being read, it kind of looks like it's not moving. And the really interesting thing is, if any of you guys have ever used iMovie, the panning is actually called the Ken Burns effect, which is named after the Ken Burns that made the Civil War series. So it was kind of neat to, you know, have that connection, even though it's
It's like an official use of
yeah,
the Ken Burns.
not an
Yeah.
official.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
any questions before I started?
Well, let's look at it. And see.
Okay, all right.
Thanks.
The Benjamin Peck Diaries, A Soldier's Perspective from the 141st Pennsylvania Regiment. After 4 long years of conflict, the Civil War was coming to a close. The Army of Northern Virginia was being doggedly pursued by the Army of the Potomac in its retreat from Richmond. As the Confederates retreated along the Lynchburg Turnpike, they engaged the Union forces in battles such as Sailor's Creek in a last-ditch effort to hold out. However, they were surrounded near the Appomattox County seat, and on April 9th, it was over.
Sunday, April 9th, 1865. The conference was held between General Lee and General Grant at Appomattox Courthouse, which resulted in the surrender of the Army of Virginia. This ends our campaign, and may God, who has given us this decided victory, grant an end to the war. Monday, April 10th. The men are in the very best of spirits. Cheer after cheer is heard in every direction.
Unfortunately, the joy could not last. 3 days later, Lincoln was shot by John Wilkes Booth in Ford's Theater.
Saturday, April 15th. Received news in the evening of the assassination of President Lincoln, Secretary Seward, and son. This has produced the greatest sensation of sadness and sorrow with so great a national loss. God grant that it may result in good to the nation. Sunday, April 16th, 1865. very quiet Sunday, the only thing that created the least excitement was the news of President Lincoln's death, which has excited a feeling of the profoundest sorrow and regret.
Peck traveled home to Pennsylvania through Baltimore and makes note that the city was quiet for the morning of Lincoln's death while his body was laid in state. Peck's diaries offer us a unique glimpse into a soldier's life and emotions surrounding the end of the Civil War and the death of President Lincoln.
I just clarify something for you. You mentioned the first one you did was part of an assignment for a course. This was for a course?
Yes, this was for the.
Did everybody do video in this course? Or was that just
Not
your
everybody. Actually, the one that I was about to go into, actually all of these, except for the boxing video at the top.
And,
But most of these are from the class. Some of our students did, or some of the other students did websites. Some of them did, actually a lot of them did Prezi documents.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I think there was probably about 3 or 4 of us out of a class of about 11 that actually did videos of the project itself. One had kind of a comical approach. He was like a newscaster, so it was interesting. But both of them were actually for courses. The first was for a historical methods course, which was required for graduation, and the second one was just a special study class on Lincoln.
So I really like choices like that, just thinking how to present a course for Prezi or video, and getting that choice. It's really good. Any questions from you? So you're all video experts.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Deb. Sure.